Hey everybody, it's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. We've got a special guest. We're talking about a couple of different topics. It's going to be a super interesting show. We've got our guest for just about 30 minutes, so we're going to get into it here real quick. We've got Jordan Harbinger from The Art of Charm. And so for anybody that's joining us live, we just want to thank you for doing that. But if you're watching the replay here on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe so you get our future videos. And then also subscribe over on iTunes or Stitcher if you like to get the audio version just nestled right here in between your ears where we so belong.
Yes,
right.
nestled, Matt.
And let's bring in first the junior grandmaster himself, Greg McDaniel. Greg, what's up today?
Matt, what is going on, dude? This is going to be a fucking awesome show. You know, I've been a fan of Jordan's podcast for a long time. Listened to a lot of phenomenal grade A interviews that he's done with amazing people. I have actually, literally, Jordan, no joking around, I've learned a lot from your show, man. So I hope everybody who hears this today, they go over, they sign up for the Art of Charm podcast. Go binge like I have done in the past and just soak in the goodness. I don't really have a rant or anything today, and I don't have a lot of shout-outs because, you know, it's only been about 24 hours, Matt. So we'll save that stuff for after Jordan because in our pre-show, we were all going back and forth on something that is very near and dear to all of our hearts, and I'm very glad to hear that Jordan shares the same mindset with us. So with that, Jordan, man, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I didn't make it easy for you guys.
Yeah, but you know what? You got here.
That's right.
And Jordan's sick. He just got back from a trip, so he's a trooper. He's stepping in. He's still going to do the show with us. So, man, I appreciate it. You know, you do a podcast for, what, 3 years now?
9 years. 9.5 years.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Close enough. 3, 9, whatever.
Only off by, 2/3. No big deal.
300% difference, give or take.
That's why I was a math major in college. I don't know why that didn't work.
That's right. Well, one of the things we were ranting about before we went on the show live is, and we want to rant about it publicly a little bit, is the idea of people that coach and especially sell info products and coaching and training on something that they don't actually do themselves. So, Jordan, I think you run into this a lot more probably in the circles that you run in than we do because we're not so much into the internet marketing circles, but that's one of the things that Greg will come to me and he'll find somebody online and say, hey, you should check this out. Like, look at what this guy's doing. And I'm like, great. 90% of that guy's income comes from selling other people products on how to do what he's supposedly done.
Yeah, I think that's the worst. It's so annoying, and that's why I stayed away as far as possible from what we call internet marketers, and I don't mean just people that sell things online. It's okay to have a business that sells things online, but there's this whole wing of internet marketers that even internet marketers don't like, and I'm sure they've got some terminology difference I'm just not familiar with, but basically there should be a special term for this particular type of phenomenon that if there is, I haven't heard it, where it's this circular effect where someone goes, oh, I'll teach you how to make passive income online, and I'm like, well, how did you learn how to do that? How do you make your passive income online? And the way they do it is by teaching other people how to make passive income online, and the closest term is really pyramid scheme, because if I'm teaching you how to make money online and that's how I make all my money online, then what are your options? Teaching other people how to make money online is probably your best choice because that's the only thing you have to model. And so I see this a lot. One of the reasons I didn't make it super easy for you guys is just because it didn't come through somebody that we hadn't met before or whatever, as far as I know. So I was like, okay, real estate, because I see tons of real estate shows, but every time I dig even a little bit, even time I scratch the surface, it's, oh, you've got 87 books, you've got seminars on how to do this. Have you sold anything? Have you sold a fucking property in the last decade? Or did the market just decline and you're like, oh, this is hard now. Wait, let me lie to other people and tell them it's easy to get rich and sell a book on how to do it. And tons of people pitch themselves like, wow, I've made tons of money in the real estate niche. And I'm like, so, okay, selling things that are real estate related or actual real estate, or selling real estate products? Because if it's selling real estate products, then go fuck yourself.
Thank you for speaking the exact words that I come out of my mouth on a consistent basis. I mean, I have people coming to me. I had one this morning. They're like, Greg, do you do personal coaching? And I say, no, I do not. The reason why, I will never be a fucking coach. I'll be a trainer. I'll be an educator based on my 16, almost 17 years of experience in closing hundreds of millions of dollars in sales with my team. But I'm never going to come out. I don't want to write a book. I don't want to do a lot of these things because if I want someone to learn, I want them to learn from me, real time, live fire, because I'm in the trenches every single day. And that's what's really helped our podcast grow. That's why you're here, because you're like, oh, this guy's not bullshit. He actually does what he says he does.
Yeah, I mean, I was hard on, I think it was Caitlin who was booking me. I was like, look, I'm not going to do all these different things. And usually people who just want like, oh, we want to come in and Google results for Jordan's name, they'll just back out at that point because I just make it less valuable other than actually coming on and talking. So I appreciate you guys dealing with that. But yeah, it's easy to filter for the guys who want the easy win. I know, poor Caitlin. It's easy to filter for guys who want the easy win because the second you make it even remotely hard, like, here's a form for you to fill out, and they're like, nah, I'm too lazy to do that. Or their virtual assistant does it, and they don't have it, and their phone number's not in there. I just decline. I just delete it from the calendar, and that's it. And it's really it's amazing the amount of work people won't do. Even the smallest amount of work, people go, nah. They're playing a numbers game instead of going really deep with their craft and getting to know it well. They're just jumping from niche to niche. And real estate has an unfortunate position of being up there with foreign currency exchange. What's another one where people get in for a year, find it's hard, and then bounce to the next thing? It make money online, real estate, foreign currency exchange. They're all kind of up there, so it's really hard to tell who actually knows what they're talking about and who doesn't.
Dude, you gotta find. That's when you vet the people out. I mean, and a lot of the agents that are listening to this, one of the reasons I asked Jordan to come on is because, you know, the whole art of charm is how to improve yourself as an overall human being. You know, gain a vast amount of knowledge. And I think that some of the stuff that, you know, I really found interesting, and I'd love to go deep on this because it's something I'm very interested in, Jordan, is body language. You know, a lot of the times agents don't understand. You know, first, you need to become a student of your industry. You need to, you know, read and learn and watch everything you can. You know, pick out the nuggets of goodness from everybody and leave the rest of the bullshit behind. Then you also need to understand when to push and when to pull back. You know, when you're at a listing appointment or you're working with a buyer or you're negotiating a contract, I would love to talk for a quick second about body language. What are some of the easy to tell terms that someone could be watching for? So they can read the situation accurately and not lose a client. I know that you work a lot with a lot of people, you know, so I'm sure you got a wealth of knowledge on this.
Yeah, I think where a lot of people really blow it is they think that their first impression, for example, is when they open their mouth. So you see these guys, where was I? I'm trying to think. It was like a loan agent, so it didn't really matter as much, but I noticed that somebody in kind of a salesy position, I noticed the first thing about her was that she was biting her nails. And, I mean, not in that way where you're absent-mindedly biting your nails, but in that way where you're just anxiety-ridden and you're gnawing on your fingers, like in this weirdly uncontrolled way. And I felt bad for her because I realized she's probably not paying attention to who's watching her right now, which is bad. If you're in a sales position, you're in your little pantsuit or whatever at the open house when I bought my house, standing there expecting to get customers. And we just immediately didn't want to deal with her because we thought, what is so nerve-wracking about sitting here waiting for leads to fall in your lap? Are you new? Do you not know what you're doing? And I noticed a lot of people really believe that the first impression is what happens when they open their mouth. They don't realize it's when you become a blip on someone else's radar. So what that means is it's when I see you, not when you decide to engage with me, and that changes the entire game because people think if people who think the first impression is what they want their first impression to be, which is the first thing they say, they spend a lot of time thinking about trying to find something clever or make a funny joke or have a smile and a firm handshake or something equally just kind of really obvious and mundane, when the truth is your first impression is going to be the way that your body's communicating when you don't have the chance, before you have the chance to talk to me. Because if it's when I see you, chances are I see you before you're 2 feet away and talking with me. That's very rare that someone's first impression is actually you talking with them, unless it's all via the phone. In which case, that's a totally different story. So what we have is this problem where the first impression is made using nonverbal communication, which most people never think about, and instead they're worried about the first thing they say or the first thing they do in terms of trying to get your approval or make you like and trust them. And so we have to work on our nonverbal communication. The problem is people think, oh, okay, good, I know how to do that. I'll just stand up straight and smile and be open and friendly. But the problem is if you don't practice that, if it's not at the level of habit, then you have to start pretending to do it in the moment, which means that you're thinking about that instead of listening to what I'm saying or what the other people are saying, and it becomes really unnatural because you're trying to micromanage it in the moment and on the fly. And that's sort of the second level of where people go wrong with all this stuff. And it ends up being this weird thing where sales guys or amateur sales guys, first of all, on your first week or so, your first impression, you think it's what you say. So you try to have a clever sort of opening line and whatever, and you end up like that lady who I was talking about, the loan agent for the open house. And then the second layer is where most sales guys, or probably real estate agents and things like that, are, where they go, all right, yeah, I got to look the part. So they wait until they need to, and that's when they straighten up and they go, hey, how you doing? Jordan Harbinger here. Good to meet you. And you go, typical sales guy. Typical fucking sales guy. And you don't trust him because you see the total difference, that you see this guy transform before your eyes, where you're like, I saw you get out of the car and you looked like a schmo. Now that you're facing me, you have a totally different mannerisms. This is not somebody I want to do business with, because I don't know what you're thinking, but I certainly know this is fake.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's really true. For a number of years, when I first got into business, I was 21, 22 years old, so I was trying to emulate my father, who I joined his team. He's been doing real estate for 43 or 44 years now. And I tried to, be like him. Then I said, fuck this shit, dude. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started owning who I am. And just like you were saying, I mean, you have to be comfortable in your own skin. And as soon as you find your own rhythm, then you're not going to be fake. You're not going to be some chump. You're going to be a person that other people are going to relate to, that have the similar goals and out mindset that you do. So I mean, I wear my custom shirts, my Lucky Jeans shoes with my Vans tennis shoes to listing appointments all day long, and because I'm comfortable in it, and I'm not, my body language is saying, look, I'm true, I'm honest, this is who I am, this is what I do. You know what? I've never lost a listing appointment. I've never not worked with a buyer, and I don't wear a $3,000 suit. It's funny that when people are trying to put a facade up, it's almost laughable, because you can say, I can see what you're doing. And it's not even you're not even trying. You're trying, but it's failing right left and upside down and backwards. I mean, Matt, you've worked with top agents. You've worked with amateur Joes. I mean, what's some of the stuff that you've run across with some of the guys, the crews you've run with?
Well, what's funny is it's literally all over the board. I mean, I talked to one top agent in Atlanta, as a former general contractor, who shows up to multi-million-dollar listing appointments in Chuck Taylors. And so it really is. I mean, it really comes down to, do you have the goods? And if you don't have the goods, figure out how to get them. But it has nothing to do with necessarily the way you dress. Now, if you're in certain echelons of luxury real estate, and there's an expectation level of a certain way of dressing or presenting yourself, then maybe. I mean, Dan Kennedy talked about this years ago, where he experimented with literally every different type of suit and color of tie when he was speaking on the speaking tour, and he found that a black pinstripe suit is what sold the most books. I mean, that stuff still exists, but in most of our daily lives, we're not in front of 10,000 people trying to sell 5,000 books, so we don't need that. We're better to be more comfortable in our own skin, and that's what the top agents do. They wear what they're comfortable with, maybe a little bit more dressed up depending on their, if they're going into a certain listing appointment, but for the most part, it's all over the map. So I'm curious, Jordan, I mean, I think where people struggle with this probably is not just when they're first starting out, but anytime they have a sense of, I'm not where I want to be, or I don't feel like I have the goods. How do you get over that hump where you're having to kind of consciously manage your body language and consciously manage what you say, and kind of get to the point where you have the goods to where you can then relax, and just be yourself? It's like getting to that point where yourself is good enough.
Yeah, it's obviously a tough road, because the real confidence comes through experience, but you can't really get the experience all in one shot, right? And you don't want to fail entirely, and you'd be a complete disaster until you get it. So what we try to do is take things at the Art of Charm, for example, at our live events. One of the things we'll do is try to relegate and delegate things to the level of habit, because nonverbal communication, that fits into everything. It doesn't matter if you're a real estate agent or if you're just a regular person. You're a barista. It doesn't matter. You still want confident, powerful, open body language that's not overdone and that's not fake. So one of the drills that we have is called the doorway drill. And what that is essentially, right now, or wherever you are, as long as you're not driving, you can straighten up, put a smile on your face, chin up, shoulders back, chest up. And you don't want to exaggerate it, because it looks dumb when you do that. You don't need to do that. It's just having
looks
normal,
like you have little man syndrome.
Yeah, you're kind of like, oh, I'm a superhero trying to be Captain America. But you can just put that on and just notice how that feels, what that looks like. And then every time you walk through a doorway, straighten up and do that exact same thing again. And what that does, and I mean doorways even in your own house. So what happens is you constantly end up standing up straight, chin up, smile on your face, and that becomes your default body language after a while, because you walk through doorways hundreds of times a day, most likely, if you're on the go in an office. If you work from home, still dozens of times per day are you doing this. That way, when you go to Starbucks or when you walk into a meeting, you don't have to go, all right, it's game time, everybody get your good first impression body language on, which is totally unrealistic and results in you going, okay, got to remember to stand up straight, got to have open body language, remember, smile when people are talking with you, you never know who's looking right now. You can't live like that in the moment because you need to be listening and interacting with people in a way that's totally normal and confident. And what this does is it causes you to relegate that body language, that confident body language, to the level of habit, so you don't have to think about it. It also creates a situation in which you don't have to actually. You get treated differently by other people as well, because if you look the part, people start to treat you differently. When people treat you differently, you start to act a little bit differently, and then that becomes a virtuous cycle. The body language you forget about after a while, and you start to build natural confidence because people are treating you like they would treat somebody who was confident. So it's a really good virtuous cycle that you can kick off in the privacy of your own home in a really easy way. And then that, by the time you end up going out to an event or whatever you need to do, to an appointment, you don't have to then think about not only your nonverbal communication, but you don't have to think about what a quote-unquote confident person will act like, because you're starting to become one in real time.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Amy Cudley did a TED Talk. Cudley.
Cuddy. Yeah, Cuddy.
I always say that name wrong. And being dyslexic does suck, by the way. And that's not a joke. She talked about the 3 different bodies. The stand up straight, the powerful V, and then being the boss. In my opinion, that very lowly opinion is what has been the most valuable for you in your past clients that you've taken through your life experience. Do the other ones work better? Does each one of those, I guess, those styles work better with different personality types, or does the doorway technique pretty much work for everybody across the board? Just because it's a repetitive thing, it's ingrained into your mind, into your head as as something you do continuously every single day, and the other ones you just do on right before an appointment. What kind of time frames have you seen people go from a slouch to someone who is admitting more confidence because they're going through the repetition of standing up straight, the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because you can do this just to get yourself stoked, but it's going to degrade really quickly. If you do it over the next couple of months, you won't have to think about it again, and it'll actually become harder for you to slouch and for you to look like a schlep. When I worked at a movie theater when I was a kid, I decided, all right, I'm going to work on my posture, because I was doing martial arts at the time. I was like 17. And he goes, pretend there's a string pulling you up and down. You'll just walk, stand up straight. And instantly, I started doing that. I was walking around all day, sweeping up gummy bears and stuff like that, and popcorn at this movie theater. And it only took a couple of weeks for this to become a habit. And I got promoted after a couple months because they were like, oh, you look like this is a leadership role. People started asking me what to do, and I started to take on that leadership role, which of course led directly to that promotion. And crazy stuff would come in where I didn't lose any weight or gain any muscle or anything like that, but girls would start to float through the movie theater and hand me their phone numbers and stuff like that, and girls I worked with would like me, and other guys would be like, yeah, man, what kind of sports you do? You look really athletic. And I'm like, what is going on here? And it was just that. It was only that stuff. And I'm like, if this works for a 17-year-old kid whose entire job it is to clean popcorn and gross things off of floors that are sticky, right? What can this do for somebody who has real money on the line? This is somebody who's trying to go through and close a deal. If I'm judging between different people that I want to handle a large transaction, I want to go with somebody who looks like they can handle pressure and knows what they're doing, not somebody who just was first off the ball or seems nice enough. I don't want to deal with anybody like that. It's too risky.
No, that's the amazing thing about this. I think if people don't take anything else out of your appearance here with us, if they just practice the doorway, the new agents or the people that are getting beat down by the lack of any sales, or maybe their friends or family or hammering on them saying don't do real estate, go work with me in this other vertical. I think if they, like you said, if it works for a 17-year-old kid who's whipping up gummy bears and popcorn, why wouldn't it work for a 47-year-old that's changing careers from corporate into real estate, or a single mom or a mom that's going from being mommy of 4 kids, to a full-time real estate agent but hasn't been in the game for a while? If they just practice this continuously, I think that I'd bet, like you were saying in your case, within weeks, people will start to take them more seriously because they're standing up with pride.
Of course, yeah. It's gonna take a while, but the truth is, it doesn't really matter. It depends on how diligent you are at this, and even if it takes a year, great. I mean, this is a life-changing type of event because it does, like I said, change the way people treat you, which changes the way that you act. And that's the whole point, right? It's not a cure-all. I mean, people who have major inner issues aren't going to suddenly become confident, outgoing people because they decided to stand up straight finally. But it's a matter of having the physicality match what you want to be going on inside so that the inside starts to match the outside and vice versa. But you still have to be doing a lot of other work, like handling your bad habits, hopefully getting or staying in good shape, eating right. All these different things actually make a huge difference over the course of time. And obviously there's a lot more to it. We look for a lot of the inner working. When guys come through the Art of Charm here in LA, we coach on all kinds of different things, from that nonverbal communication, first impressions, to reading nonverbal communication on other people, developing rapport and trust, and all kinds of stuff that you can't teach in 30 to 45 minutes online here. Yeah. It's all stuff that guys come in and live at the training facility for a solid week. The program's 5 days long. So there's a lot of stuff that has to be deconstructed. But as far as soundbite type of quick, let's apply this right now, the doorway drill is kind of the top of the pile.
Well, just real quick, do you have is there a psychological framework that you prefer, that if somebody goes out and get, like, is there a resource they can turn to in order to get kind of a quick framework for how to read other people and get a sense of what they're feeling, in a social situation?
It depends. I mean, there are a lot of books on body language, but they're all just kind of dictionaries of what things might mean.
They're like tactics.
So, and so those are less helpful, because when you look at guys who are really good with the body language stuff, like FBI and military interrogators, the reason they have training courses and they don't just have manuals are because these things have to be taken in concert. And so the best way to learn how to read other people is to be really, really good at, I hate saying reading yourself, but at looking at what your own behavior is like in certain situations. So self-awareness is what's involved in that, and generating self-awareness is something that's generated over a long period of time, or a longer period of time, where you start to evaluate what it is that's making you tick so that you can start to see it in other people. So becoming self-aware is actually really, it's tougher. It's easier said than done. A lot of people think they're self-aware, and what I've noticed is that people who rate themselves highly in terms of self-awareness are usually the worst, because they're so not self-aware that they think, oh, I got this, I'm very self-aware. And they're just the people where everyone, when you hear that, you just usually start laughing, right? Like, we all know somebody like this who's super annoying, nobody wants to be around them, they're constantly trying hard to get other people to like them. Yes. And those are the guys that you just think, oh, Tim, or whatever the guy's name is, like this, you're one of those guys. And after, it might even be endearing because the guy's so kind of confidently completely oblivious, but it gets annoying after a while because they're so unable to see where they can improve, and they start usually, of course, these are typically the guys that decide, I should tell other people what they should do because I'm so good at all this stuff. and you humor them for a while, and then you just realize, oh gosh, when is this guy going to give up? Yeah, it's like the guy who doesn't realize that everyone thinks he's super annoying, and he's like, yeah, all these ladies are all after me, and you're like, you're a joke, dude. I don't want to burst your bubble, but it's going to hurt your career. And it's fun when it's in school, right? Because you don't care. It's just some guy in school that everybody kind of humors and rolls their eyes. But when they've got money on the line, when it's a career, and he's thinking, I'm so good at this, meanwhile he's losing deals left and right and has no idea why, it starts to become a real problem when this guy works for you, right? You get rid of people like this.
I actually had a guy who joined my team, young guy, he couldn't tell me enough times that he was an attorney, and he came in, and as you know about real estate, there's, we do a lot of door knocking and cold outbound prospecting like any other, sales business, but no joke, I mean, this guy thought he was the shit of shits. And 2 weeks deep into working on our team, only door knocking, never worked with a client, came to me dead seriously and goes, Greg, you know what, I'm doing a lot of work, man, and you know what, I'm I need to be partner. I have to be partner to move forward with this. I'm like, get the fuck out.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nuts.
Yeah. You cannot kick that guy hard enough in the ass on the way out the door.
Yeah. That is unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
Tell me if my feeling is right on this. So I think let's give an example, a social situation that a lot of people struggle with, and I struggle with it too, which is remembering people's names when you meet. And I think that has more to do with not having a memory trick, but I think it has more to do with the fact that your energy is focused on yourself. And I've noticed that as I've gotten more comfortable and confident and relaxed and just like cultivating that non-attachment to the outcome, I have a easier time remembering people that I meet because I'm not focused on myself. I'm able to relax and focus outwardly on them. Does that jive?
It does jive. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, how do I remember people's names? And I know from my own experience, usually when I don't remember people's names, it's because there's a lot of other things going on that I'm focused on instead of that person. It's always my mistake. It's never or I should say it's almost always my mistake. It's very rarely, oh, I forgot to do that thing where I visualize the house and walk through the house. And I remember taking some dumb Dale Carnegie course a long time ago, and they're like, when you remember people's names, you got to do the memory palace, and you've got to repeat their names several times. That's okay. I mean, I'll use people's names.
Who likes having their name repeated several times? Has anyone talked about this?
I
hate it when people do that to me. Like, hey, Matt. Yeah, Matt. Oh, that's great, Matt.
It's interesting, Matt, that you should say that. It's something that comes out super artificial. People know what you're doing. I mean, look, if you use people's names normally, that's great. But if it's for me, there is something to be said for just, hey, man, slow down. And if you don't hear them correctly the first time, ask again. And you can ask again in just a minute. Like, you could say, look, I'm totally spacing on your name. I know you just told me. And it's not ideal, but it's better than pretending and then 3 days later, hey, what was your name again? And we've all been in that situation. It's horribly uncomfortable. And you have to kind of pretend that you just knew it and you're having a brain fart, right? And that's the only way out, but it still looks really bad. But I realize most of the time when I don't catch people's names, it's solely because I was never listening in the first place.
Yeah, or you use the douche move of you bring over your buddy or your girlfriend or your wife, and you're like, honey, introduce yourself. And the hope to God he'll say his name again. And then he does it, and he looks at you and goes, you didn't know my name, did you? I'm like,
right.
Damn it, no.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, one quick question before we'll let you go. We got 3 minutes left with you. So I'm just curious, in all the interviews that you've done, you've interviewed a ton of high-level people, very successful people. Was there any one interview that really, not that the content stuck out, but just that something that they said legitimately changed your life because of how you applied what you learned in that interview?
Probably. I mean, everything that would have had something like that kicking in is on our best of page. But nothing is coming to mind right now just because I think I'm just, drained from a long weekend and trying to recover here. But there's all kinds of things that I learned from doing the show, which is one of the reasons why I still do the Art of Charm in the first place, is because I'm able to learn from people and ask them questions that I think most people would love to ask of their favorite authors and performers and football players and things like that. One of the things that I've learned from successful people is it sounds so cliche, but there's no shortcut. A lot of people really like to go, oh, I outsource everything. It's like, well, then whatever you're doing is obviously not that important. If you just have no craft and you're making money selling widgets on Amazon, congratulations on living on the beach, but you're not creating anything that's that important if a person who makes $2 an hour can do most of your work. So I think people need to, rather than pursue something that seems easy or seems like they can, quote-unquote, scale it really well, you want to be able to do something that you really find valuable, because that's the only thing that keeps you going when the chips are really down. You don't feel like showing up, right? You'll still show up to something you deeply care about. You can't outsource everything. And there's a lot of FOMO going on right now, especially if your people are trying to learn how to do something online. It's so easy to see. It's like that guy you just talked about who wanted to become a partner. Where did he get that idea? He's been reading crap on the internet that says, oh, well, you should be this far when you're this age, or you should be able to do this, or you should be able to come in and negotiate that. Nobody wants to put the work in anymore. So if you're able and willing to put the work in, you will literally rise to the top just over time, because people are going to quit before you. That's the easiest route to success that you could possibly ask for.
Darren Hardy, when he did real estate, he asked a real estate trainer, what's the quickest way to succeed? And the guy says, you have to fail, and you have to fail often and quickly. And so Darren went out and did the pendulum of success and failure swing equally in each direction. So if you really want to be successful, you got to go through the grind, put in the unfun, unsexy, unkind, sweat-inducing, labor-intensive activities that will then equally swing back to the pendulum of success. But people don't see that. They only see the failure. They only see the rejection. They can never have the creativity to look at the positivity. They ever know equals a yes. Therefore, if they can stand up stronger, taller, they can have a better mental mindset to get them through the down times. The grass is going to be greener on the other side, because there's 9 out of 10 people are going to quit. 82% of real estate agents quit or fail out in the business in 3 years because, like we're talking now, they don't do the hard work.
Yeah, they don't want to do the hard work, and you guys have that same thing as any online business, right? Where the bar to entry is so low that anybody comes in and does it. So that's why the profession itself, it's almost like whenever I see this stuff in my inbox, we talked about this pre-show, I'm just like, okay, real estate, whatever. Because anybody can sign up for a job doing it, but only a few people are going to succeed in doing it. And, yeah, I mean, most people don't, as you know. So the problem with that is you always get the young people who are just burning, I'm going to do this. Okay, well, the only thing that's going to prove whether or not you're going to do this is whether you do it consistently. And everyone thinks they're going to be that guy, but statistically, they mostly quit, and that's why.
They do. And, guys, Jordan, I want to be respectful of your time. I want to, guys, I'm deadly serious. Go get his podcast, guys. It is phenomenal stuff. Go to his website. Is it where can they find you, Jordan? Is it Art of Charm?
theartofcharm.com, right?
Yeah, theartofcharm.com. Since this is a podcast, you guys are listening to a podcast already. The Art of Charm podcast is in iTunes, or however people are catching this as well. And it's good timing, because I feel like my voice is literally about to give out in the next few minutes.
I can hear you. I know you're a little tired, man. I really appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah.
You know what? Best of luck. Recover quickly, and keep up the ass-kicking job that you're doing over there, changing people's lives, and feel better.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks so much, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Cool. Yeah, I think what was interesting about one of the things that sprung to mind, so there's, two thoughts on this. So number one is that everybody should be required to read The Dip by Seth Godin for that exact reason, because everybody should know that that's coming, right? That horrible low point, that difficulty where it's a pain in the ass to be consistent. It's all of a sudden not easy anymore, and it gets to the low point of that dip where it's the hardest thing in the world is just to keep going and consistently doing what you're doing. That's where most people fail. And it just helps to be ready for it. If you've read that book, you understand the concept, and you know that, hey, I'm going to go into this, and at some point I'm going to want to get out. It's going to suck at some point, right?
Yeah, and you know what? It's okay. If you're utterly miserable, take a step back. Go remind yourself of how fucking shitty a 9-to-5 is, and what a boss is that makes you do things you don't want to do and belittles you, and then pays you crap wages, and you're like, oh my God, wait a minute. 6 months, 9 months, a year later, after you take a break, you know what? Step out. Then you can step back in, rejuvenated and ready to go. I mean, I took a break. I was seriously gonna commit homicide on my buyers. I couldn't take it anymore. I mean, I was losing my shit. And then I stepped out for about a year or so, then stepped back in. Best thing I ever did, because it re-energized me, and I loved stepping back in, because I'm like, I know I'm good at this. I know I can do this. And then I just re-engaged, going 1,000%. Most agents go in about a 7-year cycle, which I have found. And you know what? When you get to that 7 years, if you just can't or won't step out for a second time, or maybe a third time, or whatever it takes, go re-energize your batteries. Go take a month-long vacation. Go, take mini vacations. Don't work on the weekends. Do something enjoyable. Give yourself the mini wins. If it's like, for me, like buying this dress shirt, when I close a deal, something I could look forward to, that will psychologically build you up, because you're achieving something. Because real estate is such a long tail play that, I mean, you start something today, you're 30 days minimum most of the time, so 45 to 60 days to seeing the gratification from that action. And so give yourself the micro wins along the way. And like I said, for me, it's the shirts, 1 shirt per closing. And then I'm able to really look forward to it and do it, which I don't think I need any more shirts. So I got to find another win.
Now just watches?
Not just watches.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so there was a couple things that sprung to mind on that, which is, number one, so you talked about the 7-year cycle. I mean, it brings up that quote from Chris Angel where he said, you can't build your business on something that you hate. And he talks a lot about, making sure that your business, like your prospecting system and the way that you bring in new clients, which is the entire lifeblood of your business as a consultant or a salesperson, the way that you bring in clients has to be sustainable for what you like to do. And I think that's part of why you see that 7-year burnout is that you have a lot of people. They are a small percentage overall, but in raw numbers, there's a lot of people out there who have just forced themselves to figure out how to, by hook and crook, drag clients in by something that they hate to do, whether it's cold calling, whether it's door knocking, whatever the case is. They have figured out something that just works well enough that if they crank at it for 3 hours a day, they can keep on bringing in the new clients. The problem is they keep doing that, they get successful enough, they spend 20% more than what they make in expenses, and they get on the same, it's the same rat race or the same hamster wheel as anybody that's in the corporate world is on. Like realtors put them on that same hamster wheel. They put themselves there, and I think that's why you see that 7-year burnout.
They do.
And we've got a couple of people. I think one way to solve that burnout is to do what Chris Angel talks about, which is to focus on connecting with people through things that you enjoy, figuring out another way to attract clients that's not based on what you hate. Another way to get out of that is we're going to have 2 different guests in the next, month and a half. I just booked a second guy, a really interesting guy, former number 5 worldwide for Remax when he was 24 years old. He has since gone on to become an investor, and we're going to talk about why realtors don't invest and what to look for, like how to keep your eye out for income-producing properties when you're in the flow of your real estate business, right? Because that's what he did. So we're going to talk to 2 different people about that because I think it's super, super important that if you're going to be in real estate, to have your eye on the prize, right? Your prize is not making $300,000 a year as a salesperson. That is a means, or should be a means to an end, which is hopefully to set yourself up for retirement, to springboard into other businesses, to invest in property, whatever the case is. I look at guys like Jeff Cohn and Frank, the CEO of Viral Marketing. Where do they put their money? They live on X amount of dollars per year, and they don't live on more than that. All the extra money that comes from their businesses, where does it go?
Investments.
And other businesses.
And do they want to diversify? Do it yourself. I mean, if you make $300,000 a year, take $150,000 of that and go buy properties. I mean, you're not putting that money out to pasture. That's active income, right?
Yeah. That's your insurance policy. So you're not still making prospecting calls at 55 years old.
Dude, there's a couple of ladies in my office that are in their 70s and 80s, and they're still grinding it out. I'm like, fuck that shit. No way am I going to be doing that. That is not going to be me. And it's funny, we talked to Brendan last night on the McDaniel Challenge. Young guy, 26, hustler. He likes to do CrossFit, and we talked about all the McDaniel challenges. We talk about, what's a special skill set or special, something that you can do better than anybody else that and then go do that. Spend your time there. For Matt, that would be drinking coffee. So Matt does a better job of drinking coffee.
A champion coffee drinker?
Yes, yes, you are. You've been you've been runner-up twice for San Diego County, I believe, in the last couple of weeks.
I did just get my. I got this in the mail the other day. This is my. Yes, that is in fact a Starbucks Gold Card.
Thank you for making me lose a lung.
Yeah. Anyway,
so that's great. Nice to get that.
So I'm going to pick up the mantle where he left off and just point out that I think there's one thing I've noticed, and asking Jordan what he had learned from years of interviewing successful people reminded me of one thing that I have learned from also interviewing successful people, which is this. The methods and the route that they have taken to get where they are is almost always very, very zigzag. It's very rare that you come across someone like Jeff Cohn who just decided, hey, I'm out of college, I'm back from a Mormon mission trip, I'm going to go into real estate. Goes into real estate, becomes wildly successful at real estate. Just like super straight line, determined what he was going to do, went out, became successful at that, and then just executed, right? So most people, like especially if you get into the upper levels, like where the author, speaker, consultant, where there is no path to that, it's all just dominoing off of one opportunity to the other. And he mentioned something Jordan did, like people when he was working at the movie theater, when people would say, hey, you look like an athlete. And I think that's a lot of times what happens to people that eventually become very successful is they do something, they step out and they make some changes in their life, and then somebody goes, hey, I think you could do X, or don't you do X? You should get out there and speak. Like, maybe I should get out there and speak.
Like,
and then you
wouldn't that be
speak
fun?
once and you get a taste for it, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to become a professional speaker, or whatever the case is. Like, some of those things almost start from other people's misconception of who we are, and then it like sets this new vision in us of, wait a minute, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, it totally does.
And then you
I
like
mean,
domino that, and you're like, then you chase that, right?
well, look at us on this podcast. I mean, you and I Jeff made a decision. I'm just going to go do this. You and I just made a decision that we're just going to go do this because we love this medium, like we talk about all the time. Like, if someone put $100 million into, our account, 50 for Matt, 50 for me, just as your guys are awesome, thanks, keep it up. Matt and I would probably do 5 days a week podcast. We'd actually step it up. We're like, wait, you're telling me we can do another 2 days?
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, I can hire more staff to make this better? Yeah. Like, I can get a live streaming, like a super high def. Like, I'm going to plug into the best wireless. I'm going to have like Cox cable here with this, and installing my own antenna or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd end up making the podcast better and help more people.
Oh, we totally would. So that's an opportunity. Anybody who wants to give us $50 million each, we will go an additional 2 days, better quality. Just to let you know, good, safe investment.
Yeah, but that is a pretty cool thing to know about yourself, right? That the things that you're doing on a daily basis, you're not just doing for the money, but you're doing for the fulfillment of it, which is hopefully where everybody's on their way to.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it was the last show, but I mean, I'm the luckiest fucking human being on planet Earth. I get to wake up every single day. I get to either do a podcast and a Facebook Live and help people, or I get to do a Facebook Live and interact and hang out and talk with people. I get to go and have the world's greatest job. I get to, when I'm not sitting here hanging with you all, I'm outside, I'm working with buyers, I'm working with sellers, I'm looking at property. I mean, who else gets to do that? Honestly, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, however I want. And no one's going to be like, excuse me, sir, did you see the TPS report? And did you stamp in your time card, please? That would be super. Thank you. And can you please work on a Saturday? Fuck you. No, I can do whatever I want. If I want to roll over, scratch my ass on a Tuesday afternoon, because I wouldn't do it on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, Matt, because we have a podcast then.
Yes, we do.
I could do it if I don't feel well. I don't have one. It's not going to dock my pay. I mean, my pay is going to be docked because I'm not working, but thank God I have an amazing team that's working, so we never get clipped like that. But that's what I'm saying. If you guys love what you do, and you should love what you do, this is a meat grinder of a business. This is not a business that's for the weak-hearted, as you guys are well aware of. And I cannot say it enough. If you need a break, take a break. No one's going to look down on you for it, because if you are the 83% that fails out completely of the industry, or do it part-time for a little while and get some excess income or whatever else, and then jump back into it full-time, fully charged, is better than being half charged all the way through. Because then you're just like a limp noodle. You ain't doing shit.
Yes. And not like a limp noodle in pho or something like that, where it's supposed to be limp and it tastes, it's delicious. Yeah.
Moving forward before I start saying shit.
Oh my God. Yeah. So anyway, dominoing opportunities. Yes. Well, yeah, we did forget to do some shout outs because we wanted to make sure we gave Jordan plenty of his 30 minutes and get the most amount of content. So very quickly, just want to thank Viral Marketing for helping make podcasts and hangouts like these happen. So go to gregsmarketingexamples.com and you can actually see what they do for him. And there's a video where Greg kind of breaks down and explains how they fit into the process and how they follow up on the leads and what Viral is helping him to shoot in terms of videos, who they're sending him out to and stuff like that. So gregsmarketingexamples.com. And then homing in, we've talked about the app, and we've had the co-founders Todd Miller and Christian Peter have been on the show at various times. So check that out. They're getting requests from homeowners who are finding the app and requesting valuations on their home from real estate agents like you. But in a lot of areas, there are not real estate agents that know that the app is out there, and those requests from homeowners are just kind of sitting out there and going unresponded. So essentially, there are free seller leads out there. So go find it. It's in the App Store for Google, Google Play, and the iTunes App Store. So depending on your device, it's homing in. So go look at that up and download those apps. And gregsmarketingplan.com for the viral marketing.
Matt, you know what everybody needs to do? They need to, mark their calendars now for December 3rd through the 10th. Join us on the cruise, guys. Jamie Cox from is this site Realtor Lead Generation?
Realtor Lead Generation.
Yeah, I think that's
group?
what it is. Facebook group, guys, go join that. Great group, a lot of great content in there. But we're doing a cruise. Matt and I are guest speakers, along with a few other great speakers. We're going to get 7 days together on the cruise. 3 of those days is going to be, full-time, breakouts, coaching, training sessions when we're out on the water. The rest of the times we're going to be getting shit-faced and drinking Mai Tais. It's going to be awesome, and making bad decisions and getting sunburned.
Yes, I believe you get sunburned when we're talking about bad decisions. Yeah.
But it's not a bad decision.
All right, so shout outs.
Shout outs. I only have one, man. Brandon. Dude, you're awesome. Oh, I have 2 actually. Brendan, it was great talking to you last night, man. A lot of cool stuff I think is going to be in your future. Thank you for your time. And then Nikki tonight has taken the McDaniel Challenge from North Carolina. We had a FUBAR with her number. It's weird. I couldn't reach her, but she could call me. So we're going to connect tonight and work on that stuff. But you guys take the McDaniel Challenge. Please take your McDaniel Challenge before you're literally into August. I know that people that are hearing this right now, that they think I'm full of shit. I'm not kidding, guys. It's to the July 20th is my next open spot, and to think we're still in May, wrap your noodle around that, your wet noodle around that for a few minutes. It's an hour and a half to 2 hours of me talking, hanging out, training, having a beer, relaxing, getting to know you, helping you, unblock yourself, get you back on track, give you some marketing tips. I am deep into the tech world in regards to the apps and different things and how they can work. Tim, who was on our last show, guys, you can get a half hour free with him and kind of get up and running. So he's going to give a steep discount from his from some of his products that he sells for, I think, $60. He's going to sell them for what, $29 to our folks.
Yeah. Yep.
You have to type in REUPOD, all caps.
PON. REUP, like Groupon.
PON. Yeah.
REUPON.
We'll give you guys the link, and you guys go take a look at this stuff. The stuff is really, really cool. But
yeah, if anybody gets the Tuesday Tactics and Takeaways email, so if you're on our email list, it is at the top of that. So Tim Stafford's Periscope Mastery course, and the coupon code is there, and everything is right on that email. So that showed up probably in your inbox around 3 o'clock today. So if you're not already a member of the email list, I'm very sorry. Just let us know, and we will add you to that. But yeah, so that's for all of you that are on the email list. That code and that link is right there for you. So anyway, did you want to add or not add? Did you want to answer perhaps a Facebook question before we adjourn for the day, Greg?
Matt, how could this show be complete without answering a question from the Facebook group? That would just be rude and insensitive, and we don't want to be that. Well, I do. You don't.
All right. So let's answer this one. So Ann Diaz Mendez asks. This is from the. I believe it's from the Lab Coat Agents group. So how do you guys keep track of your past clients and leads? I hear agents saying they're keeping in touch with all their past clients for birthdays, etc. How do you manage to do this when you are so busy?
CRM.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you guys use, and how are you guys keeping in touch with past clients?
We use Top Producer, and we've been using Top Producer for a long period of time. There are a lot of different CRMs. I mean, if you're keeping your shit on Excel spreadsheets, or if they're in, written on Post-it notes and stuck all over your office, that is not an efficient way. I don't care if you're just starting out. You guys, oh God, Matt, I'm gonna sneeze. You have to use systems.
Yeah,
that was rough. To make it through, the real estate career, because life's going to go batshit crazy on you. You're going to get, tied up in different things. You're going to be pulled in multiple different directions. And if you have a reminder that's tied to your, account, like a Gmail calendar, then it will just pop up and give you a reminder. Hey, it's Matt Johnson, and his birthday today. So that's what's incredibly helpful for me to do this. Also, the little thing that I use, which is fucking awesome. It's called Facebook. It's a small startup, but they have some great suggestions in there because they tell you every single day whose birthday it is, what's going on. So if you want to friend everybody on Facebook, that'd be a great way. You can create a past client list only. Then you can stay up with them on what they're doing on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, whatever else. Also, you'll see the birthdays come in. You'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Then you can actually do direct Facebook Lives directly to that list if you wanted to. So all kinds of good, fun things you could do there. Also, subscribe to me, Greg McDaniel, on Facebook. Follow me on my Facebook page, and you'll get my Facebook Live notifications. So you'll be able to see what Matt and what I'm doing on my Facebook Live, and then subscribe to Matt at Pursuing Results. Pursuing Results. God, dude, I can't talk. On Facebook for his Facebook Lives, because he and I do totally different styles, and you'll get great content from each one of us, the content that won't be on this show.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, stuff that we don't have time to talk about, different types of topics. So I talk a lot about the books that I'm reading, the things that I'm learning, which we don't get really a chance to share on the show because we're interviewing people a lot of the times. And so yeah, pursuing results, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. And well, with that said, let's see. There was something that I wanted to mention. There's two things actually that I picked up from an agent in regards to contact management. So number one, I mentioned this yesterday, but it's called full contact. So that's something that I'm tinkering around with. The agent that I talked about is super high on it. He's really, really into the tech side, especially with contact management. So that will sync multiple Google accounts if you pay for the premium version, as well as your LinkedIn connections, and basically pulls all the potential information you have on people by being connected with them in multiple places, all into one central location. And then it syncs across all of your different devices. So it kind of sits on top of Gmail, and you have like when you go to email somebody, it'll have on the right-hand sidebar, it'll have a bunch of the information that it pulls from other places like LinkedIn and all this stuff, and other any other like sources it can find. So that's pretty interesting. I'm still tinkering around with that and seeing how valuable it is and whether it's worth I think it's, I don't know, $9.99 a month or $99 a year kind of option, whether it's worth that. And then contactually is another one where you can kind of sort them out into different buckets, and contactually will remind you who to follow up with every day based on what bucket they're in and what follow-up system you plug in and stuff like that. So if you really want to follow up with people, that's probably the best system to invest in.
There is, and you guys, if you don't use that, there's another free one called Rapportive, Rapportive, Rapportive. Same general thing. Like I have Jordan here on the right side when he and I are emailing back and forth to each other, talking about those LinkedIn connections. If we're connected or not, you can ask them to join you on your LinkedIn, so you can grow your LinkedIn just by sending emails and any of the other social media networks that they have. And I do know it connects to Gmail. I think it connects to Yahoo. I'm not sure who else that Rapportive connects with, but very, very cool thing. I've been using it for a long period of time, and my LinkedIn is through the roof now with that.
Nice.
Some fun tech tips. Did we learn anything? Did I learn anything new since the last time we talked in regards to tech? Let me check here really quickly. Oh, biscuit, wrong Hobbit pad. Imagine that. Imagine getting those mixed up. Jesus. Let's see here. No, there's some other stuff I'll talk about another time because I'm still playing with it. But Matt, we are back live Friday. Is that correct?
We are. So Misty Solswitch, she's a top agent. She'll be with us on Friday at 11 a.m. at our usual time and day. And so yeah, that's the next show coming up. And then next week we've got let's see, we got a solo episode on Monday. We've got Kevin Turner, who's one of the guys that I mentioned earlier on the show, that's going to talk about why real estate agents don't invest. He is a podcast host and a real estate experienced kind of investor and agent in Australia. So that's who's with us next week on Wednesday. And then we've got top producer named Paul Campbell on the show next Friday. So we've got all kinds of cool stuff coming up. So 3 guests next week. So yeah, we got 4 guests in a row actually. Well, no, Monday. Monday's just you and me. So
I consider myself a guest on the show.
Shut up. All right. Take the McDaniel Challenge, 925-918-1978. Get a hold of Greg. You're booked out through the end of time, but I'm sure you can get something in there for the end of July if you hurry, or maybe get on some sort of list so that if somebody cancels, he may get with, and then I just wanted to publicly thank a couple of people for my side. So Michael Anthony sent me a very nice Starbucks gift card. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes. He is going to go out there and kick some serious butt. So he's been watching our shows as he's been going through the licensing. He's already been successful in other businesses and stuff like that. So he knows what he's doing in terms of business, but didn't know really where to start in terms of real estate. He's learned everything he needs to know from the show, and is going to go out there and kick butt and keep us updated on how he's doing that. And then who else?
He actually gave me a $25 Amazon card. So Mike, thanks, man. I was actually talking to him today about Mojo. He's a local guy in my area, and we had lunch together. Dude, that guy's 6'5". It's so weird to look at someone right in the same, right in square in the eyes. I'm like, God damn it, this is weird. I'm usually doing this, not like this. Yeah, but he's gonna hustle hard, dude.
Yeah, good.
Pimp killer right there.
That's right. And then Kurt reached out to me through my website and then through Facebook as well, and we're actually meeting in person. He's here in San Diego, so we're going to talk a little bit about where he wants to take his business and whether he should. There's some database marketing systems he's thinking about investing in and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that. If you're in this area, or if you'll be down in this area, just get a hold of us, friend me on Facebook or whatever, shoot me a message, and if I have time, more than willing to meet up with you and help in any way I can.
Wow. Was that the Matt Challenge?
Was that the Matt Challenge? Yes, you actually have to get together in person, though. In person. I like in person. I'm not a phone guy. Do not call me.
He doesn't even pick up my phone call, guys. Don't feel bad. But there's the Matt Challenge, the first ever Matt Challenge. If you're in the San Diego area, stalk him and stalk him well.
That's right. Well, we'll actually be doing some lunch and learns in the San Diego area. So I'm working with one of the top 200 mortgage loan originators in the country is here in San Diego. So we're working together to put together some educational events for area agents, and we're going to start with going out and doing some stuff with Christian Peter, the co-founder of Homing In, the app that I mentioned earlier. So we'll get out there and we'll probably start in KW offices. But guys, if you have anybody else in San Diego where you feel like would benefit from just learning from some of the stuff that we talk about on the show, we're more than happy to bring something to your office as well if it's anywhere within reasonable driving distance of San Diego.
And 5 minutes is more than reasonable, right? You can do 5.
Anywhere in San Diego County. Let me clarify.
What about Orange County? You gonna leave them
that's a little. We'll see.
Neighboring county hater.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hate.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, guys. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging in there, kind of with Jordan not having video access. So I know it's a little bit different from our usual format, but we are back on Friday with the regular guest and ready to go back full bore, normal episode. And until then, guys, thank you so much, and thanks for telling a friend about the show. We really, really appreciate it.
We do. We love you. We'll see you guys Friday.